Good morning once again, everybody. So, unfortunately, I've been getting even more stories about female behavior and just women behaving poorly in general. But before we get to the bigger one to focus on, we have to talk about this. Women refuse to acknowledge pussy privilege. Okay. This is a chronic issue that has persisted for kind of a while. Of course, every single guy on earth who has had to deal with actual life, actual living, um, we know the double standard exists. Anyway, here's just an example, one of the more recent ones. So I heard a story recently concerning a young female who consistently fucked up doing the most basic job at a company. Okay, I mean the most basic job at a company. Okay, now given I'm not a fan of most companies, honestly, I think a lot of corporates are fucking terrible. But it's a thing. If you can't even manage a basic job that is practically on, you know, literally on rails. That's a real bad sign going forward. Anyway, this individual who had gotten multiple write ups that she definitely earned is apparently being promoted. Oh, yes. Of course, this is just one example. There are countless, but this individual, this female, is being promoted to a higher paying office position, a position in which her specific types of fuck ups are going to cause massive headaches for the company. Now, failing upwards is not necessarily new, okay? But a lot of companies, especially, I don't know why. I really don't know why. But a lot of the companies are incredibly gynocentric. It's just constantly inflating women's egos. Whenever women have complaints, they're actually, addressed and dealt with. Essentially, the entire workplace, as time goes on with a lot of companies, the entire workplace is forced to shift in order to accommodate whatever women's whims or demands are in this week. All right. And honestly, I'm pretty sick of it. All right. I'm pretty fucking tired of having to hear the same damn things over and over again. Literally expecting 90% of your productive workforce to walk on eggshells around women. And then on top of the fact that, you've got girls who can't handle doing a basic job that is literally on rails, and you're going to promote them to a position where, in office work, if they fuck up the paperwork, if they go into the computer system and they enter the wrong thing, like they have been doing, okay, on multiple occasions, they're going to cause massive headaches. Why the hell do we have such a fucking emphasis on everything's got to be about women and women's happiness? All right. Not a single ounce of consideration is thrown towards the male workforce. All right. The male workforce is ultimately disposable. Turn and burn them. But if it's got eggs, all of a sudden we have to bend around, all right? Like we're some kind of fucking superfluid that just slowly absorbs. You ever mix cornstarch and water? All right, drop something on it, instantly it hardens up, and then it slowly consumes whatever you dropped into the cup. This is just one example. Just one example. Of course, another perfect example, shorthand, is the fact that women go essentially their entire lives in a lot of cases without ever having to face consequences for their terrible, terrible fucking behavior. All right. Especially if, since we're going to go into that, we could talk about the fact that there has been a massive surge in teachers, female teachers, diddling students at the schools. Now, considering that women would consistently call the majority of men creepy pervs, don't you think it's a bit odd that an institution, multiple institutions that are very female centric, all of a sudden, women are doing the same skeevy behavior that they claimed that all of the men were doing? Like, you can say what you want. Dudes, guys obviously are interested in coochie. Okay. Obviously. All right. But it doesn't, I want to say dudes aren't going to ruin their lives for it, but some will. Some will. The fact of the matter is, the idea of women being on the pedestal and somehow being better or superior to men, and whether you want to pull up the labels of, talking about emotional intelligence, what was it, EQ? Like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yes, so emotionally intelligent, manipulative. That's what it is. Emotional intelligence is manipulation. All right. Oh, they like that. That's the thing. Women always say they want people who a guy who listens. Guys actually solve their problems. They don't look for things to complain about endlessly. All right, so they can just have a cope-a-thon with all their girlfriends. All right, guys actually get shit done, and when there's a problem, they fix it. Anyway, that's one example. That's one out of literally infinity, but the female teachers, doesn't matter what age either. It's not just the new ones, it's 30-plus-year-old ones. One just got nailed for two students in New Jersey. Now, given a lot of guys, I'm not going to lie, a lot of guys, especially my age, hell, even older, um, we sit there and we wonder, like, where in the hell were all these teachers when we were growing up? All right, because when we were teenagers, obviously, biological drives take over. Literally, your entire reproductive system is coming online. Like, yeah, the hormone surge from becoming a teenager, an no, adolescent, whatever. The hormone surge picks up, and yeah, yeah, most guys would default to nice. But the reality is, and especially with Jesus Christ, some of these fucking teachers, holy fucking God. They would have been on the cover of fucking Maxim magazine, 20 years ago, if anybody still remembers Maxim, or Sports Illustrated, any of those. But the gynocentrism, the hyperfixation on female anything, all right, as it's led us to a point of complete condemnable destruction. All right. Now, I, I don't even know what the hell to say, man. I really don't. is the thing is, obviously, especially the fact that there's been multiple instances where teachers got knocked up by their 16, hopefully 16 or older. But there have been multiple instances of grown ass female teachers getting knocked up by their students. And they still go for child support. Like, what? And honestly, that is probably the biggest linchpin of all outside the obvious grotesqueness of it. These bitches will literally get knocked up from your kids while they're in school. They will predate on your children in schools. And then they will still try to claim child support when they're not even old enough to work yet. All right. Like, yeah, you can work at 16, but balancing the fucking bullshit of school with trying to hold a fucking job too is a nightmare. And honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of companies, especially like fast food franchises in particular, are very much known for taking advantage of, younger people, obviously. 16 through 25, they will try to get away with every single opportunity they have to violate, labor laws. It's a thing. Forcing kids to work excessive hours, trying to, con them into working off the clock, all sorts of shit. Honestly, the reality is, and why the hell does everybody have to take such massive advantage of each other? At least in that regard. You got women taking advantage of young dudes who don't know any better. You've it, you've got the companies doing the same shit, although they do it, they don't give a shit about gender. Oh, this fucking world's a mess. But the female double standards, putting women onto a pedestal and acting as if they are somehow superior. All right. If women were in charge, we'd be fucking dead. I this is the thing. I've seen nothing to indicate otherwise. If women were in charge, if they were honestly in charge, we'd be riding bicycles. We wouldn't be able to have combine harvesters. We'd run out of food. Like we'd run out of fuel. We wouldn't have oil. We wouldn't have gas. We wouldn't have literally anything because it's terrible for the environment. I, I hate to tell you, having 8 billion plus people on the planet is also fucking terrible for the environment. All right. But we're here. And unless you guys want to start opting to start doing mandated reproduction restrictions, we're gonna have this problem persist until we get to the point where we do finally break the balance and literally there's not enough arable land and there's not enough anything in order to feed the insatiable appetites, needs, and desires of an infinitely growing population. All right, honestly, the declining birth rate is it's necessary. It leaves most countries in a weak position, but honestly, it's necessary at the very least for the fact that it's going to force us to address the issue that all of the systems that we've relied on are built on are built on the foundations of infinite growth. All right. And infinite growth on a finite planet just ain't going to work. It just isn't going to work. But Is the thing. God knows, especially talking about the idea of, limiting reproductive rights. Women in particular will screech to high heaven about that. But honestly, if you want to save the planet, yeah, don't breed. Don't breed. Because the more people we have, the more needs we have. Like, you have to look at the macro level. You got to look at it like it's the fucking zombie apocalypse. All right. Now, like default, when just imagine any plotline storyline. Eventually, you come into the scenario where it's another mouth to feed to, add another survivor to your group. So now you all have to search harder. All right, you got to look farther. You got to take more risks in order to find more food in order to sustain your now increased population. Okay. Now expand that kind of thinking out to the entirety of the planet. All right. We are absolutely destroying fucking everything. That for that there's no doubt. There's no doubt. We are absolutely fucking wrecking the environment. I forget what year it was, but I think it was 2024. We officially surpassed the point where human beings were producing more biomass than the planet produced for a year. All right, and we're probably still there. All right, that's probably growing. And we are indeed getting to the point where the planet, yes, whilst there is tons of land and tons of resources, we are actually getting to that point where we're going to end up having to break fundamental laws of nature in order to keep this fucking charade going. And the reality is, every time human beings try to defeat nature, we might win in the short run, but in the long run, you get raining frogs and you get locust swarms. And all of a sudden, the food supply goes and you have famines. All right. And fundamentally, too, wow, we really got off track. Apologies, but fundamentally as well, as we've become more advanced, our base dependencies have grown massively. We have no replacement for fossil fuels, and we probably never will. All right. Um, we might be able to make some headway in synthetic plastics, which would be fairly good starting point. But when it comes to just about any energy intensive thing, if you do the numbers to actually figure out what the human labor equivalent is to every single barrel of oil or every single gallon of gas, we are effectively, with that energy, we are essentially consuming the combined labor of what, at least 10,000 slaves. All right. It's a thing. It's a thing. Anyway, back to the point. Back to the point. We have to get past gynocentrism. We have to. Now, when I say we, of course, we honestly don't have to do fucking anything. The less we do as males, the less we do, the more damaging it is to the system. Okay? So, honest to God, we don't really have to do too much, if anything at all. But ideally, we have to break past the gynocentric society, We have to break past the female double standard and the idea that women's rights are the only rights that matter. Okay? We have to get past that and never again return to this failed genetic offshoot of civilization. All right? Because women, of course, they can tell themselves whatever they want to fucking believe. But you cannot build a society Sodom and Gomorrah style and expect anything good to happen from it. All right, you can't maintain these double standards. If you honestly want equality, you have to pull your weight. All right, there's not going to be any excuses, especially going into the fucking ball ache nightmare of a future that we're looking at here. There's not going to be any fucking excuse for you women to not pull your weight to the same level that a man does. All right. So this is the thing. The shit test is coming to its apex. You're going to have to decide once and for all. Do you want equality? Or do you want to go back to the way things were? Assuming it's even possible. All right. And you can't make the argument that, because of course women will say they want equality, but really what they want is a special privilege. All right. You do not get to be privileged without sacrifice. You do not get rights without accountability and responsibility. You do not get to drive. You do not get to drive the train off the edge. All right. Assuming you got a blown up rail bridge. You do not get to drive civilization off the edge of the cliff. All right. Just because you're a female and your feelings, you think your feelings matter more than anybody else's. Regardless, I'm going to end it here before I ramble off into a very distant, never ending tangent. If you are interested in personal or business consulting, stop by www.spadesconsulting.com without the dash if you're interested in written work. See the Substack below in the description box. And if you like and appreciate the video, of course, like, favorite, sub, share, do all the things, leave a comment, ring the bell, tickle the bell, do all the things to your heart's content to the bell. And hype it if it comes up. And I will see you guys in the next one, which, God help us all. I don't know why, for whatever reason, this week is like 30% or more female oriented, well, not oriented, but female concerning topics. All right, it just ironed out this way. Anyway, see you in the next one.